What if Honda brought back the bike that literally started the modern dual sport movement? And this time, instead of just being practical, it actually became one of the most fun, everyday motorcycles you could own. And here's the twist. This might be the one bike that could replace two or even three bikes in your garage. Stay with me. Welcome back to Acer Rider. And today we're diving into the rebirth of a true pioneer, the 2026 Honda XL250. Now, before we even talk about the future, you need to understand just how important the original Honda XL250 really was. Back in 1972, Honda introduced this machine and completely changed the game. It wasn't just another bike, it was one of the first true modern dual sport motorcycles, a machine that could go off-road and still be street legal. Think about that for a second. Before the XL250, you mostly had to choose dirt or road. This bike said, why not both? And honestly, that idea is even more relevant today. Because right now, most bikes are either too specialized or too complicated. You've got aggressive dirt bikes on one side, heavy adventure bikes on the other, but not many that just feel simple, light, and usable every day. And that's exactly where the 2026 version of the 2026 Honda XL250 could absolutely dominate. Now let's talk design, because this is where Honda could really win people over. The original XL250 had this clean, narrow look, super slim, lightweight, and built purely for function. And personally, I think Honda should stick to that philosophy. Picture this: classic Honda styling, a high-mounted exhaust, spoked wheels, long travel suspension, and that tall, ready-for-anything stance. But now add modern touches, LED lighting, cleaner body panels, and just enough refinement to make it feel premium without losing its soul. And this is something I genuinely believe. The moment you over-design a bike like this, you ruin it. The XL series was always about simplicity. You look at it and you instantly understand what it's built for. No distractions, no unnecessary styling, just pure purpose. Now let's talk about the engine, because this is where things get really important. The original XL250 had a 250 cubic centimeter air-cooled four-stroke engine, producing around 20 to 24 horsepower, depending on the model. Not a lot by today's standards. But here's the thing, it didn't need more. And this is where I want to add my personal input, because I think this is something a lot of riders overlook. More power doesn't always mean more fun. Sometimes the best bikes are the ones where you can actually use everything they have. You can open the throttle fully, shift through all the gears, and enjoy every second without feeling like the bike is trying to kill you. That's what the XL250 was about. Now in 2026, Honda would most likely use a modern 250 cubic centimeter single-cylinder engine with fuel injection. Smooth, efficient, reliable. But here's what I think matters most. It needs to be tuned for torque and usability, not top-end performance. Because this isn't a race bike. It's a real-world bike. Something you can ride in the city, take on trails, and maybe even go on a long ride without thinking twice. Now, performance is where this bike could really shine. The original XL250 weighed around 130 kilograms, wet, which made it relatively light for its time. And that's something Honda absolutely needs to keep. Because I'll be honest, this is something I personally care about a lot. Lightweight bikes are just more fun. They're easier to control, less tiring to ride, and way more forgiving when you make mistakes. And let's be real, everyone makes mistakes while riding. A modern lightweight chassis combined with long travel suspension would make this bike incredibly capable. You'd be able to ride through city traffic easily, handle rough roads without stress, take it off-road without worrying, actually enjoy the ride instead of managing the bike. And that's something I think a lot of modern bikes miss. They focus so much on performance that they forget about enjoyment. Now let's talk suspension and comfort. A 2026 version would likely feature long travel front forks, a monoshock rear suspension, upright riding position. And this is exactly what makes a bike like this so versatile. You're comfortable in the city, confident on trails, and relaxed on longer rides. And again, this is where I personally connect with this kind of bike. because not every ride needs to be aggressive. Sometimes you just want to go out, explore, and enjoy the journey. Now, braking, obviously a huge upgrade. Modern disc brakes, likely with ABS, would make the bike much safer and more confidence-inspiring. And honestly, this is one area where modern tech really makes sense. Now, features. This is where I hope Honda shows restraint. Fuel injection? Yes. LED lights? Sure. Simple digital display? That's fine. But beyond that, keep it minimal. Because the moment you overload a bike like this with electronics, you lose what made it special. And this is something I strongly believe. Simplicity is a feature. Now let's talk about who this bike is really for. First, beginners. This could easily be one of the best entry-level bikes out there. It's not intimidating, it's easy to handle, and it teaches you real skills. Then, experienced riders. And this is where it gets interesting. Because even if you've ridden big bikes, fast bikes, expensive bikes, there's something refreshing about coming back to something simple. And I'll be honest, this is something I personally feel a lot. Sometimes I don't want the fastest bike. I just want something I can ride without overthinking anything. And the XL250 is exactly that kind of bike. Then you've got daily riders. People who need one bike that can do everything. Commute, trails, weekend rides. This bike fits perfectly. Now here's the twist I mentioned at the beginning. What if the 2026 Honda XL250 doesn't just come back as a nostalgic model, but as the perfect one-bike solution? Because if Honda gets this right, this bike could replace your commuter, your weekend trail bike, even your casual touring bike. And that's something we don't see often anymore. A bike that doesn't specialize, but still does everything well. So the real question is, would you ride something like this? A simple, lightweight, go-anywhere motorcycle that focuses on real-world riding instead of just specs? Because I'll be honest, this is exactly the kind of bike I'd choose if I just wanted to enjoy riding again. No stress, no overthinking. Just ride. If this got you thinking, hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Acer Rider. We've got more legendary bikes, more concepts, and more real rider perspectives coming your way. And before we wrap this up, quick disclaimer. The 2026 Honda XL250 discussed here is not an officially confirmed model by Honda. This concept is based on historical legacy, real specifications, and current industry trends, combined with AI-assisted creative interpretation for entertainment and discussion purposes. But honestly, if there's one bike that deserves a comeback, it's this one.